All right, team, let's go. It is August 5th. Welcome to another edition of the DH Podcast Hi5 series. As you know, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we're bringing you the news you need to know under 12 minutes. And we're going to try and make it entertaining for you. So, as always, if there's something that you want to see or some facts that you thought we should have added in to a certain part, because, of course, we're always going to be keeping up with old stories and following up with old stories. And of course, if you like what you see here, you can find us at our full podcast, which is the DH podcast, and it's at Spotify and Apple, wherever you find podcasts. All right, number one, like I just said, we're following up with old things. The NFL signed the CBA agreement, so I'm really extremely happy about how quickly it went, something I was not thinking of at all. But one of the big arguing points for the league was opt-out date. The league wants an earlier opt-out date. They initially wanted either yesterday, which was Tuesday, or today, which was Wednesday. They have gotten Thursday, which frankly is a lot quicker than I would have thought. But you know what? Here's the thing: is that we're already getting to where players are reporting, and I'm sure there are opt-out clauses for these players, so I'm not super worried if push comes to shove that they can get out of a season if they need to. But I think that the NFL is still putting themselves in a huge problem because they're not in a bubble. I mean, we have 4 games in the MLB alone postponed today. Do you see that in the NBA? Do you see that in the NHL? Did you see that in the women's basketball leagues? You did not. And there's a simple reason for that. It's the bubble. Does it suck to get in there? Does it suck that you have to stay in there? Yes, but I promise you that the season will go a lot quicker and more according to plan for those seasons than the MLB could ever think of, which is ridiculous that should even be an arguing point for the NFL. They're still holding off hope that somehow they're going to be able to let fans in the stadium. If they're holding on to that hope, then they shouldn't even be holding out hope in the slightest. That's a ridiculous thought process. All right, that was number one. Number two, I actually just got this before we started recording today, but UConn football, they're the first FBS school, so not NCAA, but they're the first FBS school to opt out of the 2020 football season. We knew it would happen. It's kind of like Duke opting out of the NCAA tournament, to where it's real shaky as it is. College football is in even more trouble than the NFL, and that's saying something. So when you get something that's already shaky and you're starting to pull the Jenga pieces out early, well, you don't want to start a domino effect that's going to take control. UConn is in the process of rejoining the Big East for the majority of their sports. They're still most likely going to be staying in the AAC for football, but we'll see if they want to make a move. I mean, they were 2-10 last year in the AAC, so it's not like they're dominating. They deserve to be moved up to one of the Big Five. It's just not going to happen. Number 3, one that I have found so intriguing, and I don't want to get down a political rabbit hole with you guys with it, but Matt Stafford tested positive for COVID, so he's put on the IR/COVID, which means that you had already tested positive or you had been in contact with somebody that had been confirmed positive, and that wasn't it. So it means he tested positive. Now, the Lions came out and said that they're not going to put him on that list. They've taken him off of that list. The reason why is they're calling it a false positive. So when you look back at Stafford's testing history, he was tested twice when he got into the facility, and 2 negatives, and then he had his positive. So number 3 was the positive, which is completely possible. After that positive, he took 3 more in the subsequent days, and those were all negative as well. So the Lions are touting a false positive with this, and it's not unprecedented. It's definitely there, but now that we're going off averages, I think that's a slippery slope also because you don't want to be giving people the opportunity to put their players in a bad position. Stafford says if he is positive, he's asymptomatic. He doesn't feel anything. So he'll be continuing to take tests. But you're going to have a lot of other mainstream people that are going to be in that same boat as well. Number 4, the Trailblazers. Trailblazers are surging. The only reason why they got into the playoffs was because of the little rule that Adam Silver made up to let the Pelicans get in. But boy, are the Pelicans not doing well at all. And so it was mainly to say, hey, Pelicans, why don't you take the Grizzlies spot and we'll let Zion be in the playoffs? Hell yeah. No, not happening. So while that is not happening, the one thing that is happening is that the Trailblazers are making an absolute surge. They took down the Rockets last night in beautiful fashion, and I've actually got it pulled up here. But they've got 2 really tough games out of actually their next 3 are Nuggets, Celtics, 76ers. It's not an easy path whatsoever. So it's going to be really difficult for them to be able to pick up because they're still not in the 8 seed. The Grizzlies are slipping by they're trying hard to lose that 8 seed. But Portland's surging. They're about a game and a half out of the 8 seed yet, so they're still not there. Don't get me wrong. But this will allow them to actually get some sort of semblance of being able to jump even into the number 7. Because based on the amount of games left, they could even jump to number 7 if they need to. But that'd be really difficult. You'll most likely see either Grizzlies or Portland face off with the Lakers, who have already clinched the 1 seed in the West. You have not seen anybody in the East clinch the 1 seed yet. My final number 5 for the Hi5 is Shohei Ohtani, an incredible 2-way player, but he is unfortunately out for the 2020 season, or at least that is what Joe Madden thinks will happen. So, did I say Joe Madden? Did I mean Joe Mattingly? Am I illiterate? Siri. She's not listening. Okay. Regardless, is that whoever is the Angels manager says that Joe Madden. Yeah, okay. Had it right. Joe Madden is way too old. Okay. Joe Madden said that Ohtani's out most likely for the remainder of the 2020 season. Remember, we had seen his return in the bubble in the sense that he hadn't pitched since 2018. He pitched here in 2020, and he got absolutely rocked. And then in another start, he pulled different muscle in his hands and fingers, and so now he's suspected to be out again for the rest of the season. But he was hyped up to be one of the best 2-way players that we've seen in quite a long time. When he's healthy, that proves absolutely true. His batting average, especially for a pitcher, is consistently the best when healthy. But of course, that means that he actually has to stay off the IR to be able to make it, to be able to play. Let's see. I believe we've covered all 5. So I believe it would be remiss if we did not send our thoughts and our condolences. I'm not usually like a thoughts and prayers person because I don't think that I'd rather say, donate and advocate. I think those are 2 big physical ways that we can show our support of another group of people. So if we want to go by that, please, by all means. I just want to send my love to the people of Beirut. Those videos were insane is an understatement about those videos yesterday. So for those of you that have the means, donate and advocate, whether it's posting or helping people in any way possible. They still don't know the cause, but regardless, a lot of people were hurt and some people passed away. So keeping those families in your thoughts, I think that that's a good thing as well, and to make sure that the people of Beirut find some truth, find some answers in what might have happened. So I hope everybody has an amazing Wednesday. We will see you all back on Friday for another Friday edition of the Hi5 series from the DH podcast. Have a good one, everybody.